Hi, this is Chatterboxing. I'm Sean, and this is a response video to Dream Chasing Boxing. Going to talk about Deontay Wilder again. Now, I had planned to hang my gloves up on this one, but you've got me out of retirement. I saw your video this morning. You used my comment on the video. No problem with that. It was respectful. No problem. Much respect to you, but I'm going to have to pick you up on a couple of things and clarify what I was trying to say. So I left this comment on your video yesterday because you were comparing Deontay Wilder to, you were comparing Gerald Washington to Luis Ortiz, trying to say it's the same thing, trying to say that if Deontay Wilder fights Luis Ortiz, then suddenly he's going to become a bum overnight, as if like, oh, this even happened to Gerald Washington. Now, let me read through my quote. And let's talk about it, each thing. This is word for word exactly what I said. Come on, bruv. You're not trying to compare Ortiz to Washington, are you? Okay. Now, I'm not talking about skill. I'm talking about ability. I think most people would accept that Luis Ortiz is levels above him. I'm talking about you're not trying to compare him in terms of demand for the fight, in terms of the prestige of that opponent. And it seems to me that you are. You're saying that, oh, well, he even fought Gerald Washington and nobody gave him credit for that. Well, what do you expect? Why would people be giving a load of credit for fighting Gerald Washington? I mean, he's all right. I'm not saying he's bad, but you're talking about someone who's had nearly 40 fights, who's one of the best heavyweights in the world. In his fifth title defense, he fights Gerald Washington. Like, it's all right, but it's not. Oh wow! Like, oh, now he's done that. He's done what we all wanted to see. Now, Luis Ortiz is not like that at all. Luis Ortiz is widely considered as one of the best in the world. So to try to put them in the same bracket and say that, oh, people won't get... Well, what people? Let's get on to the next part. Nobody was calling for Wilder to fight Washington. Okay, you seem to have taken my word, nobody, like very, very literally, to the point where I'm saying that not a single person was calling for Wilder to fight Washington. Now, obviously, I didn't mean not a single person in the entire world. So you can find a few comments from people on YouTube. I mean, you can find a few comments from people on YouTube saying any old rubbish. It doesn't mean anything. What I mean is hardly anyone was calling for Deontay Wilder to fight Gerald Washington. Now, when he stepped in as an opponent, as a backup, people like myself personally, I thought it was okay. I thought it was relatively interesting. I thought he's decent. He looks okay from what I've seen. He's big, at least. Deontay Wilder's normally used to fighting people smaller than him, so it's interesting. He's American. They're both Americans, so you've got a bit of a local kind of element to it. So yeah, it was okay. Do you know what I mean? But it's not like people were calling for this for a long time. Like, oh, Wilder needs to fight Gerald Washington to prove himself, and this is like kind of the way you're talking. It's as if it's the same thing, and it's just not. So you can come up with a few examples of people quote saying this, quote saying that, but the overwhelming majority of people had no interest in seeing that fight at that point. If that had been like 20 fights ago, 15 fights ago, fine. But at that point, people wanted to see Deontay Wilder fight the top people in the world, not the arguably, possibly top 5, top 10, definitely in America. That's not the same thing by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, so I don't mean nobody. I mean hardly anyone. Okay, so you've like all these people. I've seen a few quotes from people. Okay, you put the video. There's a video by Boxing Wave. Okay, fair play. He's a serious person. I respect him. But did he then say after that Gerald Washington was a bum? Like you're saying in the video, not that you're saying that he said that, but you're saying that like kind of in general, people were saying, "Oh, we want to see Gerald Washington. Now he's a bum." I bet these kind of characters. You get. I don't believe Boxing Wave was one of them. He might have said that, but he probably then gave credit to Wilder for at least as an opponent fighting Gerald. I don't know, but kind of characters who are just trying to criticise. This is what in my opinion, you're doing. You're basically giving too much credence. You're worrying too much about the opinions of people I consider either to be basically idiots or just haters. There are a lot of people out there, like you say, who just don't want to see people succeed. They want to be right. They want to basically criticise people, have a go at people, tell you, this bloke's shit, he's nothing, he's not going to do anything, he's blah, blah, blah. That's what they want. They don't want to see people succeed. I mean, I don't understand that mentality, but there are people like that. So I don't really pay too much attention to what they think about stuff. I don't take their analysis seriously. I just see it as being inherently biased and just agenda driven. I don't worry about that. So when you're saying that it will be exactly the same if Deontay Wilder fights Luis Ortiz or if he fights Gerald Washington, the distinction I think between us is you're talking about it these kind of characters, whereas I'm talking about it about people like myself, fair-minded, reasonable people who want to see people do well and have no problem being proven wrong. So, speaking for myself, I can say 100% or million% that I would give Deontay Wilder massive credit for fighting Luis Ortiz. Obviously, depending on the circumstances, if it's like 5 years' time or whatever, do you know what I mean? But generally speaking, if he fought Luis Ortiz now or soon, I would give him a lot of credit for that. Now, if someone who's just sitting there, who just really doesn't want to give people credit and is just basically a hater, then, personally, I just don't really worry about them. And I don't consider that as a sort of serious point that we need to discuss. Well, that's just me. What else is there that I wanted to say? If someone said that, if someone basically thinks that fights Ortiz and now Luis Ortiz isn't a credible opponent, then that's just a load of bollocks, in my opinion. So let's talk about the actual fight itself. The reason, me personally, I would find it difficult to pick with any conviction the winner of that fight, which is why I would like to see it. They both fought a kind of similar level of opposition, I suppose. Ortiz's best win probably Bryant Jennings, pretty good fighter. Deontay Wilder's best win probably Bermain Stavern, pretty good fighter. So they got a similar level of opposition. They're both hard punchers. Luis Ortiz is obviously a lot more skillful, but he's about 45, I reckon. I don't believe that he's 38. He's quite a bit smaller. So they both got advantages in the fight. So if you're saying that somehow people are struggling to pick Ortiz, therefore it's not credible, I don't really understand what you mean by that. Why would they? Why should people have to? If they want to see the fight, it's because they know that Ortiz would easily win. I mean, mate, I don't know if that's what it came across like to me. From my perspective, it's a good fight that I want to see, and I don't know who's going to win it. So if a lot of people want to see him fight Luis Ortiz, but they can't 100% say that Luis Ortiz is going to win, what's the problem? Well, that's what makes it a good fight, isn't it? For me, it's if the fight ever did get made, I'd kind of look into it a bit more and give a proper breakdown of it. But right now, I would lean towards Ortiz. I just think Wilder is a bit. I don't think he's got the discipline or the composure. I think Ortiz would just be too clever for him, and how hard he punches. I think the openings that Wilder provides. I think if he did that with someone like Luis Ortiz, he could quite easily get knocked out. Also, I think that Deontay Wilder has got very accustomed to mismatches. So I think that the skill level of Ortiz could be a bit of a shock to him. Having said that, Deontay Wilder has beaten everyone he's fought, except one by knockout. We've seen him fight against Stavern. He boxed pretty well there, using his height and reach, and that was a very good performance in a step up. So I could see Ortiz basically being beaten at range. And Deontay Wilder's always got fast hands, got quick feet, doesn't have particularly good footwork, but he's quick. And with the physical advantages that he has and the youth advantage, I could definitely see him winning that as well. So yeah, that's why, me personally, I wouldn't say, I think this would definitely be the case. I'd say it's a very tough one to call. I'd slightly edge Ortiz. So that's it basically. That's the basic point of my message. Some people are going to just not give him credit for anything, but whatever. Reasonable, fair-minded people would. and that's basically the point. So I think, you know, him fighting Gerald Washington, it was all right. You know, it's nothing to write home about. It's nothing to get excited about. If he fights Luis Ortiz, totally different kettle of fish. And I completely disagree that it would be the same thing by boxing fans, at least by sensible, fair-minded boxing fans. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else I want to say. But yeah, so yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching.